I want to talk a little bit about the power of momentum because I think it's an appropriate theme given all the work that's been going on here with the clean tech community, and thank you, Jason and Cleantech for having us and welcoming us. But it's also appropriate just given what is going on nationally in California and around the country. Before coming to San Diego and joining Renovate America, I worked for 4 years at the White House as a special assistant to the president. And in 2011 and 2012, there was a lot of frustration at the White House and around the country, frankly, about the gridlock in Washington, with Congress having changed over to Republican hands and there being, frankly, a lot of politics impacting the way decisions were being made or not made on a day-to-day basis in DC. And so the president got his team together and decided that we were going to start a new process at the White House under the header of "We Can't Wait." So it became kind of a stump speech for him when he went out and talked around the country. But also, it really was a call to action for the entire administration to find ideas that we could do without Congress to move the policy agenda forward. So there was a meeting every Wednesday morning called the "We Can't Wait" meeting. Had members from the White House, members of the cabinet came in to talk about what we were going to do. And it was focused on two things. It was focused on administrative action that the administration could take, executive action that the president could sign without going through Congress, or it was focused on partnering with the private sector to do big things. So a couple of examples that came out of that. The auto rule. Folks may remember that at the beginning of the administration. Dramatically increasing the mileage requirements for cars. Executive action, we can't wait. Another example, Better Buildings Challenge, getting private sector actors to commit to reducing energy savings, investing in efficient technologies, renewable energy technologies. 3.2 billion square feet of commitments made by private sector players to reduce their energy output by at least 20%. So those are two just small examples, but the point is that it creates momentum. The president, the administration, folks like you have set a direction where we want to go. And what happens is a lot of activity is generated from that. One of the president's advisors used to say, doing hard things is hard, which is a novel idea, but very true. And so it's not to say that creating momentum, pushing forward in this space is easy. And there's a lot of hand-wringing probably among some today about what's going on nationally. So who's going to win the election, and what's going to happen with the Clean Power Plan, what's going to happen with the Supreme Court, and how is that going to impact the Clean Power Plan? And so there's a lot of ways that you can kind of get bogged down in figuring out what the policy landscape is going to be and what the impact of that is going to be on the market as a whole. And while I'm not discounting the relevance of policy and sort of who's in charge and what they care about, this industry, this market, when it comes to focusing on clean energy and the environment, the momentum is very strong, and it's hard to counteract that. The president called a meeting once in 2013 with a group of CEOs focused on clean energy. And the CEO of Walmart was there. And he said, you know, Mr. President, we see our commitment to energy efficiency and renewable energy not as a nice to have, but a must to have. It impacts our competitiveness in the marketplace and our market position. And that's why we're going full speed ahead with the commitments that we're making as a business. That's not political, that's economic. And so the momentum that's developed is significant. And so we don't need to wait for perfect policy to have good outcomes. And that's really been the thesis of Renovate America. In 2008, this novel idea of PACE, Property Assessed Clean Energy, came out. Everybody was super excited about it. It was going to be the idea that changed the world. And then in 2010, the housing regulator said, no, we're not going to do that. But Renovate America, the founder, J.P. McNeil, he could have packed up his bags and gone home, but he decided he wasn't going to do that. He was going to keep going. And he pushed and created a model because he knew that there was a market failure to bridge, and that if we created that partnership between the private sector and the public sector, we could have a dramatic impact. And the result has been significant. So today, Renovate America has done over $1.2 billion in financing for energy efficient and renewable energy technologies in the state of California. Over 52,000 homeowners have taken advantage of that. It's generated over $2 billion in economic development, over 10,000 jobs. It's saved people $2 billion in their utility bills, 2 billion tons of carbon, of CO2 emission reductions, 3 billion gallons of water saved. Those are big numbers, and that's part of momentum. And so I just want to come back to that because really, as we all gather as a community, as a clean tech community in San Diego and part of a larger community across the country, the momentum is there, the ability to move forward is there, and our responsibility is to kind of put blinders on and keep driving forward. And I would just say that it's important for reasons, the obvious reasons, like for the climate, for the environment, but it's also important at a very personal level, meaning that as you all continue to do your work to drive solutions forward, you have an impact at the household level, at the family level. And so I'll end by just sharing one quick story, which is not related to the environment at all, but is related to a homeowner that we helped in California. A woman who called to have some HVAC work done and some duct work done. And the contractor came out to the home and found two things: a cracked beam in the attic, and the house was going to collapse, and a gas leak. And the house was either going to collapse or explode. And the contractor not only installed the HVAC system, but frankly saved that woman's house and maybe saved her. And so as we put these programs in place and as we move the market forward on a number of these different areas, it has all kinds of impacts to public health, to the economy, to community vitality. And so, as we close the conversation today, and as we think about how we're moving forward as a community, we'll just offer that we keep that in mind, because the momentum that is present here, and that sort of philosophy of we can't wait, is a very powerful one, and ultimately will plow through any of the political uncertainty or the kind of policy hand-wringing that's going on in Washington or anywhere else. So with that, I'll stop and just say thank you for the time, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thanks.